Thank you all for your patience. It looks like we have everyone here now. My name is Crystal Dickerson. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager for the NCDIT Division of Broadband and Digital Equity. I'm joined here by many of my colleagues today who want to help provide answers for you on the BEAD challenge process, along with several folks from Ready.net and CTC who will also provide demos and walk you through any questions you may have. Without further ado, I would like to make you all aware that Nate Denny, our Division of Broadband and Digital Equity, the Deputy Secretary for NCDIT, is here. Nate, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I can. Am I good? Can you hear me?
I hear you. I don't see you, but yes, there we go.
You don't see me. Interesting. Well, I hope you can see me now.
We can.
Great. So everybody, I'm Nate Denny, Deputy Secretary for Broadband and Digital Equity here at the North Carolina Department of Information Technology. I appreciate y'all joining us today to talk about the BEAD challenge process and hopefully air out whatever questions you may have about how that process is going, hopefully share some feedback with us. You know, I want to take just a quick second to talk to all of you about what's going on in Western North Carolina and how that could affect our program. You know, we are at the tail end of our challenge process, approaching the deadline for that as we speak, and we have huge numbers of stakeholders, huge, members of our community that currently don't have the resources to actually participate in that process. And that could be true of county governments, local nonprofits, community groups, internet providers, that need to provide us feedback through that BEAD challenge process, all of which are represented here. That's bad because we want to have a process that's inclusive, right? That generates good and thorough feedback, but it's also bad because, we need this data to stretch our federal dollars as far as we can and make investments that actually connect every North Carolinian with reliable, affordable, high-speed internet. I think given some of the storm damage reports we're seeing and the ongoing rescue and recovery effort and the rebuilding process that will start soon, I think that our understanding of the map and eligibility to funding and need across North Carolina is all going to evolve a lot in the coming weeks. So I think some of you have already reached out to ask about whether our timelines are going to change, our deadlines are going to change with the BEAD challenge process. And I'm here just to say, yes, they are. We've already signaled to U.S. Department of Commerce, National Telecommunication and Information Administration, that we will be requesting an extension for our challenge process. And of course, we'll have to navigate all the delays to the rest of the BEAD implementation approach that flow from changing the timelines on the challenge process. And we're working on that extension request right now. So I just want to start with that. Know that, if you or members of your community are unable to participate in that process right now, or struggling to find access to power or a connection or anything else, any other kind of critical resources, we will make sure you get another chance to participate in this process. We do not want any North Carolinian or any provider serving North Carolina or any community of North Carolinians left behind in this process. And I think the BEAD challenge feedback we get from all of you is going to help make better outcomes for North Carolinians and better use of those BEAD dollars. So I just want to say that quickly and then let Angie and Emily and the rest of the team run the rest of the show. But bear with us a little bit. We'll have more details. We'll probably do another version of this once that timeline settles down. Right, we will certainly over communicate with all of you to make sure you know when we're turning to you for more data. We'll just quickly say, Angie, Emily, Stephanie, Jane, did I miss anything important there?
did a good job. Thank you, Nate, for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'm going to get out of everybody's way. Thank you for your ongoing participation and partnership. We're going to get this job done together. The strong ecosystem we have of providers, community partners, and state leadership, I think are really going to help us get the job done and close the digital divide once and for all in North Carolina. Thanks for bearing with us, and just let us know if there's anything we can do to provide more information, or if you're in a community affected by the storm, please reach out and let us know how we can help. So thanks so much. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you, Nate. And before I hand it over to Emily Ganji, our policy director for the division, I wanted to remind everyone that we are recording this, so this will be available on our website later. But please also use the Q&A, the chat function, to be able to ask your questions. If we need clarification, we can ask you to unmute and make sure that we can get your specific question answered. But without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Emily.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for making time to join us this afternoon for this time to talk about the challenge window. To just reiterate what Nate said, in case folks joined us late, we are in communication with the National Telecommunications and Information Administration to seek an extension so that we can extend the deadline for the challenge window that's scheduled to close on Thursday, October 3rd. We will communicate what that new deadline will be as soon as we have approval to do that. Today, we're going to focus on answering any other questions you have aside from the deadline and provide technical assistance for any challenges you may be encountering. We've asked our vendor, Ready.net, to share a few demonstrations and answer some things that have been recurring questions that we've received. So Dustin Loop is joining us from Ready, and one of the recurring problems folks are having is trying to use the one-time link they get when their registration is approved repeatedly to get into the portal, and that doesn't work. So Dustin's first going to talk to you about what web address you need to be using to access the portal, and then he's going to show you how to add other users to your Challenger account if you've got other folks in your organization who want to be able to get into the portal and view data or submit challenges. And then finally, for those of you who have access to the consumer input data, where consumers in North Carolina are submitting evidence that could be used for a challenge on their behalf, some of the nonprofits and local governments in our state have access to that data so they can submit challenges on behalf of their residents or clients. He's going to show you how to access that data and create challenges as well. So Dustin, if you could do those three things for us to start. I'm sure we'll ask you to do other things later too as the questions come in. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. Let me just get my screen share here spun up. So a lot of as Emily was mentioning, a lot of the help desk requests that do come in, and please holler out if it seems like I'm talking about something that's not on the screen. There's a couple of things that you can try if you are having any issues with the login process. When you first receive approval for your account, you should have received an account registration setup link, and that would have had you put in, name and set a password. If you didn't set that up, make sure that you go back and do actually set that up. And if the link has expired or is no longer valid, then please do reach out to the help desk. We'll send you a new one. Once you have set that up, keep in mind that you cannot use that link again. It is not a login link. It's just an account setup link. And so any link that we send for security purposes is a time limited one-time use link. So just want to point out that if you're having trouble with a link, you can go to the address, the URL that I just dropped into the chat. recommend bookmarking it or storing it somewhere else. And then you can come to this, type in your email address, and you can either send a new link by clicking on login with email instead, or you can type in the password. And then, of course, you can reset your password if you'd like as well. If you get logged in and you're seeing a blank screen, sometimes that can mean that a couple of things. One, check to make sure it's nothing with like a corporate firewall or anything. So if you're connected to VPN, try disconnecting it. If you are on like an office network, and you can try just connecting to a hotspot temporarily. If it works on one network and not the other, it's almost definitely a firewall issue. And then if you have gone out and requested a login link before you set up your account, it will behave in a way that may not give you full access. So try those things. If you've tried those things and you are still having trouble, then please do reach out to the help desk. We're always happy to make sure that you're able to log in and get access to submit the challenges. Once you are logged in, and I'll have to do a little bit of I got logged out for security purposes, apparently, despite being prepared for this process. So bear with me for a moment while I get back into here. Okay, so when you another thing that's been a common request that's come through is adding teammates to your account so that multiple people can participate in the challenge process. You'll see on your dashboard page under challenge this invite teammate button up here. If you click on that, you'll be able to see current users that are added, and then you'll be able to add a new user this way. So you just have to put in name, email, invite teammate, and then they should get a link to set up their access. Again, if you have issues, do reach out to the help desk, and we're happy to get you sorted. The third item, for those of you that have access to the consumer input challenges or the submissions, when you navigate to this page here, there will be a list of all of the submissions that have been submitted through the consumer input portal. And you'll be able to see the status. So if multiple participants and potential submitters of this will have access to the same submissions. And if it says challenged already, then that means that it has been submitted, and you can look at the details. And if it says not challenged, then it's not challenged, and you can then click into it. You can look at the basic details: when it was submitted, what's the challenge type, who's being challenged, what technology is being challenged, which location ID, the reason that was provided, any comments, etc. You can get a description of the evidence, of the type of evidence, and then you can look at the evidence itself as well. And then if you determine you want to submit this as a challenge on behalf of the process and the submitter through the consumer input process, it's really simple. you just click Create Challenge and hit Submit. And then when you navigate back to the challenge dashboard, you'll see that challenge reflected in your dashboard, and you can look at the specific details of it. And you can navigate back to the original submission if you'd like, or from that submission to the resulting challenge. So just to help commit this to memory, you'll be able to see in this dashboard the address, location ID, provider, challenge type, county, census block group, the date it was submitted, the status. You'll click on View Details. That'll have some additional details in here. A lot of that's also just provided in your dashboard. You can look at the evidence, and again, submit it, and then you've created a challenge. So it's really a pretty straightforward process there. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are, but that's about it for what I was planning to cover.
This is Chris Moody with Caporium. How are you guys today? Hey everybody. So at what point, or could you show where do you provide the evidence? Like where is that uploaded into the portal, and where do you also upload the sign attestation document that you have to provide?
Do you want
in a
to
separate place?
Do you want to provide me with a challenge type just so I can walk through the process for the challenge type that you would
I'd have
most
to lean on
likely
my
be
engineers that are on the call. Jonathan, which challenge type were we looking at? They're not answering me.
And I can just pick one.
Enforceable. Enforceable. That was the one. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. There's so many. I was like, oh gosh, this is pretty thick.
Okay. So
thank you again.
for the sorry. Did somebody jump in there? Okay.
He thanked you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Great. So just starting from the challenge category, you'll pick the enforceable commitment category, which has two options, either covered by enforceable commitment or not covered. I think what you're asking for is the one that is covered by enforceable commitment.
Right.
There's the, basic things that you need to confirm, that it meets the basic definitions of reliable broadband, confirm that it will be deployed by the dates established in the deployment obligations, and then just inputting basic details. So all challenge types, I think this is a good opportunity to just kind of go over the general challenge flow. All challenge types will follow the same 6 steps. So you'll pick the category, then the type, then you'll provide the details. In some cases, the details will filter the set of locations that you can challenge. For example, if you're submitting an availability challenge and you pick a certain provider, you will only be able to select locations where that provider offers service. If you're challenging to say that a location is not a CAI, you'll only be able to challenge locations that are currently classified as a CAI. So, so there are some basic details and also parameters that you're setting for the subsequent steps. Then you'll go to select the locations, and you can upload a list of location IDs via CSV, or if you've uploaded a polygon, you can select locations that way. And then if you're just going to, for example, challenge a handful of locations, you can also just pop and click them to add them. And you can search by either location ID or address up here. If you get like halfway through this process and you've done anything manually and you don't want to lose your progress, but you need to come back later, you can download the locations that you've added. And then the next time you come in, you can upload those as a list. So this is, I think, what you were asking about. This is where you would attach the evidence here. So the evidence as described in Initial Proposal Volume 1 and the user guide, you would attach that here, and then just indicate whether it's situated within tribal boundaries or not. So I'll just add a sample file. It's not. And then for the attestation, you just need to confirm that here. That's certifying that you have legal authority to submit this challenge on behalf of the entity that you're submitting, and then that you agree to abide by all this fun stuff. Then you'll submit that challenge, and then you have that challenge in your dashboard, and you can go back and make sure all of the evidence you intended to submit is there. And then let's say hypothetically you made a mistake, you can just go ahead and withdraw that challenge and resubmit. And if you need to pull anything from that withdrawn challenge, you can find it. Sorry, I'm moving really quickly, but you can find it under your withdrawn challenges tab. And then you
put the letterhead at the point of where you upload on step 6, right? For accompanying letterhead, that's where you put it, that document.
It'd be anything that you're uploading would be step 5, because step 6 is just the confirmation that you're attesting to the process.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. We actually have quite a few in the chat I want to make sure we get to. So I'll swing back up to the top. There we go. Jessica asked, can you share the specifications for fixed wireless providers who will be issuing challenges? I know that you all provided a high-level summary on this, but I missed it. They're trying to get prepared, even though members of their team and partners are in the West and stranded. Before I ask you to hop in, Stephanie Jane, was that something, and Emily, was that something we covered in the last office hours? Okay.
Yeah, Liz went through that last time.
Perfect. Okay, so Jessica, we'll make sure and get you that recording. By all means, we can walk through it again. I don't want to say no, but I want to make sure that you have multiple opportunities to see it, so it's not just this once in case you need to refer back. Can the group show? Liz, can you show that again?
Yes, I can as soon as I find it. My hard drive.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Liz, while you're looking, we could go do another question and come back for your.
Yeah,
perfect.
Give me a chance to pull it up. I'm just going to pull it from your website.
Yeah.
Okay. In the meantime, Kevin had a question. Once you've put in all the data, will the website show if it's been approved or if there is more information needed?
Dustin, can you walk folks through what happens once they submit a challenge?
Yeah, so let me just pull up the dashboard there again. So once you submitted a challenge, you'll be able to follow the status of it in this field here. If you've submitted it, the status by initially is challenged. If any revisions are required and they're requested by NCDIT, then the status will then show up as revisions requested. I don't have a dashboard handy that has all of the different statuses, but the ones that you will see are challenged, no action needed. Revisions requested means that there's been some sort of deficiency identified in the challenge, and there will, when you open that up, there will be clear notes and a field to input comments and upload additional evidence. Once that's submitted, the status would flip to a revision submitted. Once it's undergone the initial review process, kind of checking for that minimum level of evidence requirement, the status will change to initial processed unless it's fully rejected. So if the challenge is completely rejected, then it has reached an end state and does not proceed. That means that that status is then considered processed. And then if you submit a challenge against a provider, you can see if it's there'll be a status update to show that it's rebutted. But the main one that you want to keep an eye out for is the revisions requested. And when those revisions are requested, you should receive an email from the portal as well to let you know that it's there. So you don't need to sit there constantly refreshing. You should get a notification, but just to be sure, definitely go back and check those every so often. And if you ever have questions about the status, happy to answer those questions. But revisions requested is the only one that requires action. The others are just for your awareness of where it's at in the process.
Thank you, Dustin. We appreciate it. I wanted to address a couple of questions that were in the chat in case anyone doesn't have access to it. Or if you don't have access to the chat, please let me know. And then Liz will hop back to you if you're ready. I want to make sure that people saw that we have the help desk email address down in the chat. It's nchelpdesk@ready.net. So if you need help outside of these office hours, please don't hesitate to reach out to that email. And also the website for the challenge process is in the chat. I've also updated it on our website to make it really bold. So if you go to nc.gov /BEAD challenge, it's right there. It's in your face. You're going to see it. So those two things are available for everyone. And now, Liz, if you are ready, we will walk back to fixed wireless.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen here.
Thank you.
On this page, and can I paste a link in the chat?
Please.
On the North Carolina Broadband BEAD Challenge page, you can find a link here, and I'll paste it right now. On this page, there's a BEAD attestation template and a BEAD challenge attestation spreadsheet template and a fixed wireless evidence spreadsheets template. If you're a fixed wireless provider doing an existing service challenge or enforceable commitment or anything that involves adding or removing BSL locations, you will need to use this fixed wireless evidence template, which is found on the webpage. I pasted in the link. This template has several different tabs, the first tab being the instructions. The second tab is a listing of all your tower sites for the given challenge. Or if you're doing multiple challenges and you just want to do one big spreadsheet, you can just supply that as evidence for each one of the challenges. And we can delineate that. Each site needs a name, location via latitude and longitude and AT83, the elevation of the site, the address, the backhaul type, the backhaul capacity, the structure of the tower, if it's licensed spectrum, any call signs that are required, if it's licensed by rule. I don't think you won't need any call signs. And if the tower is existing or new. From that, you'll have a tab for your sector antennas. These are child objects of the sites. So each site can have multiple sectors, and you'll list the name of the parent site. You'll give it the sector ID and name and the name of the parent site. If you all have done any kind of RF engineering, used any RF engineering tools, this should be pretty basic. We ask for the transmit antenna gain, the height above ground level, the pointing azimuth of the antenna, if you have any tilt. We ask that you also provide a pattern file in the evidence and then reference it by name. The power level of that site, any kind of line loss you have between the transmitter and the antenna. And then totaling those up, you get your EIRP, which is basically the power out of the antenna. We ask that you submit your operating frequency bands and then the total channel bandwidth for all operating frequency bands for that given sector. And then finally, it's duplexing, the duplexing scheme. Typically, for most fixed wireless, you're going to be using TDD, but I mean, we have FDD if you need to, if you're doing something different. But just supply the duplexing scheme per sector. And on this screen, on this tab, we're going to ask for each of the BSL locations you're going to use in your challenge. Their given location, the elevation of that BSL location in feet, the address, the EIRP of the modem, the distance to this serving site, the bearing to the serving site, any losses from the CPE to the antenna, the antenna gain, if the installation's indoor or outdoor. And then from here, you can either use measured or predicted from an RF propagation tool, signal intensity. If it's 3 GPP type technologies, it'll be an RSRP value. If it's a proprietary type like Tirana or something like that, you'll use receive signal level. And any signal quality information that goes along with that. And we'll need to know what's the serving sector ID is. And the serving sector ID is the name of the sector given in column A on the sectors tab. And then the maximum throughput you can receive based on the signal level and the signal quality. And on the downlink and on the uplink. And then we ask, most vendor equipment comes with a vendor-based, they call it MCS table, modulation and coding scheme. You can enter the modulation type, the channel bandwidth, the signal quality that the lookup is, the corresponding signal intensity, and then the corresponding throughput for that level. It's just a lookup table that basically populates this. But you still will need to enter in the throughputs manually. We just have that for reference. And then in this table is just general questions about the network. If there's any MIMO layers supported, MIMO is multiple input, multiple output. There's any beamforming mechanisms being used to increase capacity gains, any carrier aggregation being used, the maximum uplink and downlink throughput per user, what you predict the latency is, outage time, the oversubscription rate if you have a certain take rate for your build. Those kind of assumptions will be incorporated in the analysis of this. So it's a lot of information, but if you've engineered the network well, these things should be at your fingertips.
Thank you so much, Liz. If anybody else has any questions on this specific issue, please let us know. As a reminder, please put your questions in the chat, and we will call on you if we need any additional feedback to make sure we can answer your question. We have another question up here about the existing service challenge step 3. The advertised download and upload speeds. Do we need to put the max or min for both of these questions? Dustin, is that something you can take?
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure. It's a bit of a toes the line between functionality and policy, but I'll say that it's designed to capture what is. If you're saying it's existing service, that should be a scenario where you've already reported it to the FCC, but it's not yet reflected because there's just a natural lag in the process. So it should reflect the maximum speeds that are reported to the FCC's BDC reporting process.
Thank you. Emily, did you have anything to add to that? No. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to also remind everyone that we are recording these, so any questions you have, I will be putting the recordings of both of these up probably tomorrow. So they'll be on our website on the BEAD Challenge page, so everyone will see these office hours and the questions in case you need to refer back to anything. You can also reach out to the help desk for any sort of questions with nchelpdesk@ready.net. And let's see. Okay, we have another question for Jessica. Will be reviewing and confirming all of this information from potential providers. I'm assuming there'll be quite a bit of back and forth. Emily, is that one you can take?
I think there's a who missing. Yeah.
Oh, who?
Yeah. So our partners at CTC are helping us review the evidence that's submitted with challenges, and then they compile everything into a reviewable format for our mapping team here at the Division of Broadband and Digital Equity. And so as Dustin mentioned, if more information is needed from what you submitted in the portal, then you'll get those notes will be entered in the portal, and you'll get an alert via email from the portal that there's additional information requested.
Jessica, that was a great question. I certainly was not poking fun at you. I wasn't sure if you were actually confirming that that was the process, not just who was doing it. So we have another question from Chris. What version of the BDC, which is the broadband data collection, will be used to populate the BEAD map? Might be a question for Stephanie Jane.
I have just sent an answer in the chat so that folks can jot it down more easily, but we're using the December 31st BDC data that was updated with those individual challenges that get adjudicated on a rolling basis on the national map as a snapshot as of June 25th, 2024. And we used matching June 25th data from the FCC funding map. And all of that is using the CostQuest Fabric version 4.
Thank you so much. Very helpful information. We are currently caught up on the questions in the chat. If anybody else would like to add some, we have plenty of time. Or if there's anything else the CTC or Ready group would like to show at this time. We'll pause for a minute in case you have any burning questions.
And while we're waiting, I'll just say that while we're working on a request with NTIA to allow us more time for our challenge process, if you are not limited by the natural disaster in Western North Carolina, please go ahead and submit your challenges as you're able, because that does allow us more time to review and to respond to you and offer you a chance to provide additional information if what you provided is not adequate. So it's still better, if you can, to go ahead and get your challenges in so that you have more of an opportunity for us to come back to you and ask for additional information if you didn't provide, if what you provided wasn't sufficient. But we understand that some folks are dealing with extenuating circumstances that don't make that possible right now.
Yes, and Jessica, very good point. We will make sure, as Nate said, to communicate and probably over communicate. He's going to keep me very busy to make sure that you all are aware of what we're doing, what we're talking about doing, when we're planning on doing it. You know, we want to be as transparent as possible with everyone here because we understand that this significant life impact has hit hard across the state, whether you live there or not. So we do understand, and yes, by all means, we will communicate a lot. Kevin, thank you so much for your question. And I don't know what a PAU is, but do you know what the process for defining the PAUs will be? How big will they be, etc.?
I think he means the project area units. So we submitted that information's in our volume 2 of the initial proposal for the BEAD program that was submitted to NTIA. What is in the version of volume 2 that we expect to get approved by NTIA sometime soon is that we will use hex bins to define our project area units, and that providers will have the opportunity to select hex bins that they want to include in a project area. Stephanie Jane, do you want to say any more about that?
Sure. I'll just add that I believe our volume 2 does allow for the possibility that there may be a point at which or throughout where we introduce groupings of hex bins. And I know also I want to address the fact that there are different sizes of hex bins, and I don't think it was specified in our volume 2. So please stand by on that. We can't really say for sure, but the most likely candidate for those hex bins is going to be probably the level 7 hex bins, which are approximately 2 square miles in area. There could be some other possibilities, but we're still assessing some of those options to try to strike the best possible balance between flexibility and specificity, so that we're not making project area units downright unfeasible, and we're not making them unwieldy to work with, and we're not making them too small so that we're still leaving gaps. There's a lot to consider there. So please bear with us on those finer points, but that's what we know so far.
Thank you, Stephanie Jane.
And I'll just reiterate that that's what we've proposed to NTIA, but it is not yet formally approved by NTIA. As soon as it is, we'll let you know.
By all means, yes, provider feedback is vital. Absolutely. Feedback from all of our constituents here in North Carolina is vital. I don't see any more questions at this time. However, we still have more time. So as you have your burning questions, please add them in the chat. We're here for you to help you. Okay, we have another question from Chris. So is it safe to assume NTIA will grant extension for the challenge deadline? It's a great question.
Chris, I have learned to never assume with the NTIA, but we do know that other states have had to request extensions for the length of their challenge process because of extenuating circumstances, and the NTIA has granted those extensions. So we feel hopeful that they will grant our request.
Yes, thank you, Emily. Jessica asked, can we bring questions to the help desk later on? And absolutely is that answer. The email address is further up. I'm scrolling so I can make sure and have it. It is nchhelpdesk@ready.net. It is also on our webpage, the ncbroadband.gov/BEAD challenge. There is pretty much everything you may need there. And tomorrow we'll include these office hours recordings from both sessions. If there is anything else you need in the meantime that is not necessarily technical support, you can email us at bead@nc.gov. So if If you have a burning question that you don't get answered after the fact, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Dustin, did you have something to add?
If there's more to say on that, then we can keep going. But what I was going to say is with the lull, I used that time to create a mock revision request so that we can visualize that. So for folks interested, you can kind of see what it will look like. So I'll just walk through that process really quickly.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, happy to do it. Well, always happy to help on the fly. So if there was some sort of issue with your submission and the revisions requested, you'll see this lovely pink color here. You'll say revisions requested. You'll be able to click into that challenge and you'll see an additional tab here that wasn't there before that says needs revision. And you'll see a note here, and this is what will have been, this is specific to your submission. So this gives you the description of what you need to update. You can see in some cases, the revisions might not be for all of the locations, so you'll be able to see which locations are included in that. But then you'll be able to upload your file here or files, and then, put in a little note if you need to contextualize anything or just confirm, and then you will resubmit. And then in your dashboard, if that was successfully submitted, you'll see it show as changes submitted here. Con to that is you no longer get that lovely pink color. You're stuck with this yellow color, but nevertheless, the challenge will hopefully proceed from there.
I prefer to think of it as gold, as in you're winning. It's been accepted.
There we go.
The marketing side. Any other questions that we have in the chat? We've got a few more minutes. Give you 2 minutes to come up with your best questions and put them in the chat, and that is a challenge. If after that time we don't have any more questions, then we will adjourn for today. Yeah, still plowing through it. I get it. There's a lot of information, a whole lot. We are not discouraging you from continuing to outreach. Make sure that we know what you need. We're here to help you. And we will make sure to reach out to you to let you know about deadline extensions, anything that's happening that may change or provide more time for what you're doing. But as Emily said, if you are capable at this point of getting the information in by the deadline or as soon as you can, that'd be lovely. By all means, we can use as much time as we can. Okay, we have a question. Challenges always work. Okay. Ernest says, why are locations of served and underserved from the last challenge still on the new maps?
Erna, can you clarify what you mean by from the last challenge? And you can come off mute if that's easier.
Can you hear me now? The last set of maps for ones that we submitted back in first part of the summer or earlier for the cab money.
Yes, I see
all
what you're
those
saying
chicken
now.
houses, all those barns, all those fallen down houses show up again on the maps for the BEAD. And the one that really gets me is when I zoomed in tight, one of them is actually a commercial airline flying over and casting a shadow on a field.
My goodness, that is the funniest example I've heard yet from the Cost-West fabric.
It's there. Definitely, I couldn't believe it on Savage Road.
Wow. I would love to see that. And I thank you for submitting those. And I'm glad you brought up this question because we've had it from someone else as well. The CAB protest process is very separate and distinct from the BEAD challenge process because they're administered by two different federal agencies, both of whom would have us to use official federal data sets to start with, not ones that we've already made improvements to that we haven't explained to them yet. So what that means, unfortunately, is that it would be really important and helpful for you to submit those same challenges and location IDs into this process, just like you had to do with the CAB process, because it's two different starting data sets and it has different definitions of served and unserved, even based on required parameters of the programs. So it's going to result in different outcomes as well for served and underserved. And while I'm at it, I'm going to mention that the airplane example you mentioned is a fabric challenge. And so, as much as we would like it to be otherwise, we're not allowed to accept those fabric challenges in the state level BEAD challenge process, but we're more than happy to direct fabric challenges to the national broadband map, because we definitely want to get those in there. And that's what the federal folks are requiring to happen in order to eventually get that data corrected.
Okay, what I'm doing now is visiting all 90 of the locations that came up unserved. And most of them were served or either barns or whatever, just like the last time that I eliminated. So I need to go back and eliminate all of them again this time.
Correct. I would go
Okay.
in there and you can say this is not eligible because it is not a broadband serviceable location. So it won't necessarily mean that that's not a dot anymore in the fabric, but it'll help affect the BEAD eligibility so that we won't accidentally fund a moving airplane.
Okay.
Dustin had requested if you could send that location ID of the airplane so that we could do that if you could find it. Dustin, would it be okay with you if he sent it to bead@nc.gov, and that way we could share it with whoever needs it?
It's on
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think the address that it would be is 249 Savage Road in Gates County. And it's right there.
I'll
You'll
look
see
for
it. There's a little dot, and then if you go to the instead of just using the map, go to the shows property lines in the woods and all the stuff, come right down to the photograph of it. You'll see a white shadow when you get there. Then when you zoom in on the white, it'll be an airplane.
That is wild.
That's even better than the dog kennel.
Yes.
Oh, this is great.
We can get those addressed. Yeah. Sorry
That's
for
all
the
I had.
duplicate process, though.
All right. Well, I'm down. I've already eliminated 60 of the 90, so we just got to get them on there tomorrow by the 3rd.
And our division and Stephanie Jane and team are still submitting challenges to the Federal Communication Commission's fabric for locations like that too, both to add locations that are missing and to remove locations that may be chicken coops or airplanes or dog kennels.
Okay. Maybe we'll get them off this time.
Erna, thank you for being a bright spot in this webinar. We all needed those cute little chuckles.
I think it's more of a pain, but anyway, what people say.
Well, we appreciate your diligence.
Erna, I'm an admirer of yours. Erna, for folks who don't know, Erna he volunteers. He's retired and he volunteers on behalf of the county to go to these locations and see what's there and work on helping us improve our map. So you're a public servant. I admire that.
It's fun. I've enjoyed it.
Well, we appreciate it. We had another question about will the recording and the slides be available? Well, they're not really any slides. The recording will be available for this office hour set and the one from September 25th tomorrow. And I put the link where it will be at that ncbroadband.gov/BEAD challenge page. Everything you will need is there. And we had a couple questions about like maybe needing some extra time on some of the fixed wireless specs. By all means, please, if you have questions, reach out. We will make sure to connect you to the right resources. So Liz, you did a great job explaining that, and Jessica said she might need some extra time with you. So
that would be fine. I assume that we can probably, if we need to talk, set some time up.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, we are almost right at time, so I'm going to say, unless we have any other questions, that we will adjourn. Thank you all so much for your questions. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for letting us know what you need and how we can help you. And we will be in contact with more details about whether NTIA grants us that extension and more details about everything. So again, we appreciate you. If you have any questions for us at DIT, please send them to bead@nc.gov. If you have any questions on the for technical support, scrolling back up to make sure I don't get that wrong, it is, one more time. Emily, do you know it off the top of your head?
NC Help Desk at ready.net.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.